Hi, I'm Emily, the Love Your Tutoring Solutions, and today I want to do an experiment. I want to show how I use or can use Chat GPT or AI to help with coding. So I'm going to show this recreating the game Boggle. Now, I've made the game Boggle, and I am not an expert coder in anyway, but I just very simplistically coded the game Boggle using Google Sheets. And I did it using macros and then just some simple commands that I know. So in my game, I have this is my Boggle board. Whenever I hit new roll, all the 16 dice randomize and get shuffled around and stuck back in here. Okay, so there are 16 dice. Each dice I've designated what's on the die, and then each die gets shuffled, and then the whole configuration gets shuffled. So that's the game of Boggle here, and I'm going to show you. So I have the dice labeled here on this sheet here, and I have the 16 dice, and here's the configuration of the 16 dice. And my code that I've already made just randomizes each list and then takes an output and then randomizes the output so that it's not always in the same order on the boggle board. So when you shake it up, the dice go into the different spots. So I'm trying to recreate that using code. So this is what I've done, and I've coded, and I'll show you the code I have. So it's very, very simplistic. I just say get the spreadsheet, get the sheet that's called dice, and get each range and randomize each range. So this is I call it a hard randomize, but I'm not using random numbers. I'm just saying randomize it. And so it actually changes the order of those uh, letters on the die, and then put it into a range here, and then get that range and randomize it and put it into the output range. Okay, so it's a very simplistic code, and you can see it's not super fast. So when I come here and hit this, the first time it's always a little slower, and it's always a little slower while I'm also recording at the same time. It randomizes it. And I put it on a button because it's easier to roll with the button than it is to go up into a custom function uh, up in the menu bar. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to now ask Chat GPT to do the same thing, and we're going to see how it works. Okay. So I'm opening up my Chat GPT. Let me show you first. Let me move these out of the way. Get this out of the way. This is our old code and our old game out of the way. And here I've made a brand new, so it's already formatted, a brand new Boggle board with the formatting done here and the 16 dice. And this is all I'm going to give ChatGPT. I've prepared my question for it. So in working with ChatGPT, the quality of your prompt is what's going to help the output. And I have never had any coding project come back the way I wanted it the first time, but I've usually been able to get success. And the more specific the prompt, the better. So I'm going to start out with the prompt that says, are you familiar with this game? Here we go. Are you familiar with the game Boggle? Yes. Okay. So it is aware of the game. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to say, great. I want to recreate the game, and I'm going to give it the instructions here. I want to recreate the game Boggle, and here's in Google Sheets. I have to tell it in Google Sheets, and here's the details for the code I need. So I'm going to tell it I want code. There's a sheet called Boggle that has the cells. I name the cells that will hold the output. There's a sheet called Dice. In the 16 columns, I should say in Dice, dice, and capital letters are important here. If it's capitalized, you want to keep it capitalized. There are 6 rows that contain the standard algorithm of Boggle dice, and I gave it the range that it's in. Each column in dice is an independent die. The function should randomize each die separately and produce an array of 16 letters from the 16 dice. The array should then be randomized and then written into cells C3 to F6 on the Boggle sheet. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, it is spitting out code. Wow. Okay, it's different from what I knew it would be different because I'm doing the hard randomize and it's going to do a one value from each. Okay, it's going to randomize in a different way. So let's read this code. It's going to say it has a function roll the dice. It's getting the spreadsheet and it's getting the sheet by names and it's getting the dice range and it's getting the output range. Okay, good. So it sets up those variables. So it's going to get the values of the dice range, which is those 16. And it's going to, and it says it's going to make an output array. It's going to randomly select one value from each dice. For variable column 0, which is the first column, blah, 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 it's going to return something. Okay, so it's using some kind of random indexing thing here, which I never understand the how it does the randomizing with those math functions, but it does it. And then it's going to shuffle the resulting array. It looks like it's following what I said. And then it's going to write it into the result array. Beautiful. And then it tells me how to put the code into Google Sheets. I need to save it. Why do I want to do equals roll dice? Press the enter for equals roll dice. I've never done it this way, but let's see what it says. Okay. So first thing, I'm going to copy this code. And here's my Boggle game using AI, and here is the extensions, the app script that's in there. You can see I've already deleted the basic function, my function in here, and I'm going to paste what it has in here. And then I hit save. Okay, I always like to hit run first time from here because I want to see what it says here. And then it has to, of course, get the authorization. So review the authorization. Yes, I'm going to go through this. Yes, it's unsafe. I know. Oh my goodness, go to advance, go to this unsafe thing that I've just written, but I've read it. It's okay. And allow it. Okay. Okay, number of rows in the data does not match. Okay, this is what always happens is that there's going to be an error. So all I do is copy this and put it in here. Got this error. Apologies for the oversight. Here's the corrected code, right? So I wondered whether it was going to do that. I don't see where it's made the change. Here's the corrected code. Here, this push. Okay, something about this thing here says it's going to push it to a 2D array with one element per row, and then it'll write it to this. All right, okay, I believe you. We're going to copy this, stick this back in. Now what I do is I just get rid of all this, stick it in, hit save again, hit run. Let's see what it does. Number of rows doesn't match. Just copy this and I say, tell it, or I'm just going to paste in the error message. Okay, write a 2D array. Once you replace the code with this, oh, I don't see what they did differently, but let's try it. Okay, okay, save it. And don't you just love that their save button is a floppy disk? Like, who knows about floppy disks anymore? Oh, it says it completed. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. It worked. We got it. Okay, now it says I can just type in equals, what did it say? What did it call it? Equals roll dice. In any cell, type the following formula. Okay, I'm just going to copy this code and go back here. Now I will give it new instructions. Yeah, it didn't like it. Okay. So all I'm going to do, back up, okay, is I'm going to attach this button to that script. So that script is called, let's look at it, it's called roll dice. And you have to get it exactly right. Copy that and come over here and I'm going to, okay, sorry, right click, get the three dots and assign script and it's going to be called roll dice. Okay, there we have it. And see, this is a faster computation than what I did because I had it hard randomize each column using the, get the array here, right click, go to more cell options and hit randomize. So if I were to use a macro to do this, it would do and show it how I would randomize it. It does that dot randomize as opposed to the math formula that this one is using here, which I never understand the math formulas that do these these randomizing, but it works and that was fast. So it is faster. So let's look at the game again. Roll dice. Okay. The only thing I want to check is to see this one is a I, R, X. Okay, I'm noticing for the X or the Q that it'll appear in different places because I know the X and the Q are only on once. Just want to see that the X appears someplace else sometime so that I know that it's truly randomizing. The Q's there again. I'm going to just, oh, Q's there. Is it? And X is there. Okay, so I don't think it's putting it into a different random place because it's not likely. See, the X is in the first spot here and the Q is in the ninth. So it is not randomizing. If the Q is always in here, it's not randomizing it. Okay, not working, AI. Okay, so I'm going to tell it the dice are not, let's see, let's change that. The dice need to go into different spots on the Boggle board. Dice number 1 cannot always be in the first spot, which would be, what is that, C3. C3. Once the 16, what do we call those, letters are chosen, the order of the letters must also be randomized before being written into the, what did they call it, output array. Let's see what it does. See if it understands that. Okay. Okay. Apologies for the oversight. To ensure that the dice are placed randomly on the Boggle board, we need to modify the approach slightly. We will create an array of dice values, randomize, and then fill the Boggle board. That's what I asked for. Okay, now we're getting there. Okay, so then it'll go through and shuffle the array. Yes. And puts it in a, so this shuffle array, okay. So this is, it's writing a separate, like a sub function. I don't know what it's called. So along the way, it's going to say, hey, run this shuffle array before you put it in here. Got it. So let's copy this code, stick it in. Paste that in here, save it. Okay. Cross your fingers, and it says it's executed. Okay, good. So let's look for that X in the queue again. Oh, well, the queue's still there. Oh, but the X is here now, so that has been changed. And the queue's there. Okay, so now that's working. That's it. Now we have a Boggle game that takes our 16 dice, randomizes the dice, rolls the dice, and then puts the dice into different positions. And it works. It was that fast. So it does take a few iterations, trying it out, and the better the instructions, the better it's able to work. So I hope that's helpful, and you can see how we can use the AI to help us code, even when I can't understand how it uses those random, the math floor, this, that, and the other to it to do the randomization. It's okay. It knows to do it, and we can just benefit from it. And it is faster than what I did because I'm using the hard randomizing and it's using the math randomizing. So it is faster, but it works the same. There we have it, a Boggle game. So I went back and looked at the original code that GPT put out, and it did have the randomize the array before putting it into the Boggle cells. And then when we fixed it, that it had the issue with a two-dimensional array versus whatever. After we did the first two error messages, and it rewrote the code, it took out the randomized array section. So this is one of the things that I have found frustrating, and it's just something we have to watch for, is that once it's gone through one set of errors and it fixes, it sometimes forgets the original instructions, and we have to go back and check. So just be warned that if you do something like this, just go back and check that it did follow your original instructions. And what I've done sometimes is gone back and say, now, this was the original instructions. Does this meet all of these instructions? I've done that. I've gone through and asked it to um, explain each line of code, so just for me to learn what each line does, and then checking that its explanation met what I asked of it. So those are a couple of the other tips. I hope that's helpful.